Hello, my name is Luby and welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. Now, today's a very special day because today is Valentine's Day of 2023. That is when this video is being recorded and when it will hopefully be going up. I first started Katawa Shoujo a year ago. Exactly a year ago. Well, maybe I started recording it earlier, but the first video definitely went up on Valentine's Day of 2022. So it has been a year of these videos in this game, and we're only like 3/5 of the way through. But we are making a ton of progress, and we're done with 3 routes. We only have 2 left to go, and according to this, 61% done. That's not bad. So we're gonna get right into the next route, but you don't know who it is. You don't know who it is. Here's the thing, though. It's gonna be a lot harder to try to hide which character we're doing this time, because it'll probably be super obvious. But you'll just have to find out, because I'm gonna skip over to the decisions that make us go to that route. See you then. All right, first decision. Yeah, sure. Next decision, let's go. Okay, ask about the library. And now let's go to the next decision. Okay, I don't think this one matters. I'm just gonna go, it's a trap. Next decision. I might as well read this little part here too. Might give you a little bit of a hint as to which route we're heading towards. I reach the end of the aisle and find a collection of desks set up for study or personal reading. Going a little further, though, I discover a nice, quiet corner at the back. While the rest of the library has the odd student sitting at a desk, either reading or stealthily sleeping, the back is pretty much deserted. As I glance around, I see someone who I recognize sitting on one of several beanbags. It's the dark-haired girl from my class, the one who snuck out of the classroom earlier. She's reading a book, keeping it close to her face, which makes her look like she's really into it. From the way she was acting today, I had her pegged as more of a delinquent than a bookworm. In fact, her mysterious disappearance in the class raises all sorts of whys in my head. Intrigue floats slowly but surely towards the surface, and before I know it, I'm walking towards the mysterious long-haired girl. I guess there's no harm in introducing myself as I would with anyone else. She is a classmate, after all. Walking over to another beanbag, I take a seat and lay my books beside it. The girl starts looking scaredly up at me from underneath her fringe. This is the first time I've seen her this close. Underneath her long, dense bangs, I can see that part of her face, at least a third, if not a half, is pretty badly scarred. My eyes are immediately drawn to the scars, subconsciously peeking past her hair until they meet her own eyes. For a second, I'm shocked and divert my eyes to the book in her hands, before I realize that looking away probably only makes it worse. It takes too many seconds to collect myself and remember what I walked up to her for. This. Sorry, I didn't mean to startle you.
It's okay.
The girl certainly doesn't look like it's okay, but I let it slide. So, do you mind if I sit here? She seems to be very uncertain whether it's okay or not for me to sit, but finally she nods, just a little.
Oh, okay.
I take the seat next to her, and she hides herself behind her book. Life of Pi, or Life of P? I forget how it's pronounced. Never heard of it. So, sorry again for startling you. I'm Masao. She looks up from her book, stalling a little before replying.
I know we are in the same class.
Her speech is stilted and so quiet that it's barely audible even in the still library. Somehow I think that my delinquent impression of her was wrong.
Hanako. I'm Hanako. ...
I resist the urge to say that's a nice name just to have something to say, but really it's the only thing I can think of. I feel like an idiot. Everyone here must be used to being different to each other, and here I am being all bothered and fussed about that kind of thing. Don't let me interrupt your reading. I'll just check these books if you don't mind. She nods a little and sighs a little sigh of relief. So I try to read the covers and the introduction to the book I picked up, and she buries her face in her book. Uncomfortable silence consumes us. My eyes still wander to her direction, and I sneak peeks at her flowing hair and the scars it's hiding. After a while, I realize that she's doing the same and only pretending to be immersed in Life of P. Her gaze is not inquisitive at all, though it darts around like a scared rabbit. When our gazes finally meet, the chain reaction is unstoppable. She stands up forcefully from the beanbag and takes a deep breath.
I, I,
I?
I gotta go do something.
Without warning, Hanako takes off and runs towards the counter. Her hair-like takeoff catches me so off guard that I don't manage to go after her until she has a good head start. By the time I reach the counter, she's nowhere to be seen. Lily and Yuko are happily chatting away. Knowing that I won't be able to catch Hanako and myself, I approach the girls. Hey, did you notice a girl run past here?
Maybe. What'd she look like?
Long, dark hair, kinda shy. She had, well, some scars on her face.
You wouldn't be talking about Hanako, would you?
Yeah, that's her. I saw her reading and tried to talk to her, but I think I scared her off or something.
Oh dear. Yuko, would you excuse me? I'd better try and find her. Sure, I'll just hold on to these until you come back.
What's going on?
I'm sorry, but I'll have to explain it to you some other time.
Right, I'll see you later then. Lily hastily grabs her cane and hurries out of the library, leaving me alone with Yuko. And here, I'm just gonna go ahead and skip to the next decision. See you there. This is a question on whether or not Hanako was cute or not. I think I'm gonna go with the first option. Next! Read my book or go talk with Hanako. Man, I wonder which character we're seeing a lot of today. I think I'm gonna go talk with Hanako. And since we've already seen this, I'm just gonna go ahead and skip. I wonder if Hisao should start exercising. Yes or nah. Skip. I wonder who's on the right side of this debate. Now, I know I just did your guys' route and everything, but hey, cut me and Lily some slack. Skip. Alright, and we're gonna pick it up from here. The bright sun and occasional people wandering around and enjoying the afternoon makes me yearn to get out of school, or at least do something other than sit here. Giving in to one of my worst vices, procrastination, I decide that history is a subject best studied on a Sunday, or a Monday, or any day other than this one. I give a grunt as I lever myself out of my seat, briefly debating with myself whether or not to hang out with Kenji. He doesn't strike me as the enjoying the nice weather outside with others kind of person, really. I guess I'll catch up with him later. Changing tacks, I briefly entertain the idea of talking with Hanako, but by the time I look at her seat, it's vacant. She must have left for the library. There's gotta be something to do that can kill the time. Now, last time, or should I say, 2 timelines ago, we went for a walk into town. We're not doing that this time. We're gonna go to the library. Gee, I sure do wonder which route we're going down. The library seems as good a place as any to go. Hanako looked as if she was taken pretty off guard by Lily leaving, so she might want someone to talk to. Slinging my bag over my shoulder, I make my way out of the classroom. I walk down the hallway to the library, past a multitude of closed doors. Through each one, the sound of furious rehearsal can be heard. Rock music blares out of one door almost as loud as a concert. I guess that's one of the advantages of a private school. There are actually enough rooms to go around at a time like this. And when I think about it, the grounds and buildings of the school are kept in pretty good condition. That can't be too cheap. I've heard that this place has some pretty serious benefactors. The walls of the library only partially insulate the noise of the festival preparations, but they're the only sounds to be heard. Not a soul stirs here, with everyone apparently enjoying the weather outside or working on festival events. Yuko isn't here either. Maybe she doesn't work on Saturdays. I quietly walk through the library, now fairly familiar with its layout. I head to the back where Hanako's private little corner is. I run my hand along the spines of the books on the way through, feeling the individual texture of each as I glance across the titles. I used to do this all the time at the library at the hospital. Some things never change, I guess. I like the smell of a library. Like the smell of a library. No matter how much care you take, the paper in books is always going to degrade with time. Probably, no matter which library you go into, anywhere in the world, it must have that same musty smell. I find something that looks light enough to read without any major thought involved, then look for Hanako in the reading area. Once again, she's sitting on a beanbag with her back to a bookshelf, reading the same book she'd had in the classroom. She's slowly making her way through the pages. Unlike last time I saw her here, I quietly take a seat in a beanbag. The noise is enough to catch her attention, but not startle her. The delicate routine that must be followed each and every time I try to talk to her almost feels like a hunting game. Is that the same book as before?
Yes, I'm almost finished.
Cool. I wonder if I should... Do you mind if I borrow it when you're finished? My mouth is faster than my mind, it seems.
Sure, you may not like it, but
I'm sure it can't be that bad. After all, you've stuck with it, haven't you?
I guess.
I settled into my beanbag and set about reading my own book that had been buried in my bag. It's a light novel about pirates. To be honest, I'm barely skimming over the words, having chosen the book merely because it belongs to a different genre than I usually read. One Piece! The One Piece is real! Finding it hard to muster enough enthusiasm to finish the book, and noting that I've inadvertently distracted Hanako quite a bit, I decided to try and make conversation. So, I see Lily left without you. She nods before taking her eyes off her book. She must have been really into it after all.
Lily said she had to go and meet someone.
Oh?
Akira, her sister.
Sister? I haven't heard her talk about her family.
She and Akira used to live together.
I thought all the students lived in the dorms.
We don't have to.
But it's easier, right? I mean, there's food here and you're close to school. I don't think I've ever been to class on time so often in my life. Her badly hidden smile proves quite rewarding. In the back of my mind, I know I have a bit of homework to catch up on, but it's quite comfortable in here. No one can find me and force me into working for their pet project either. Though, now that I'm thinking about the festival, another question comes up. Hey, Hanako, what are you doing for the festival? For a split second, I think Hanako's about to throw her book in the air from shock.
Sorry?
I was just asking what you're doing for the festival tomorrow. Anything planned?
I don't know.
Hanako answers in the way that people do when they don't want you to ask any more questions. I take it large crowds and loud music aren't really her thing. Oh, okay. Change the subject. So, what's Lily's sister like?
She's nice. She's pretty like Lily, but she dresses business-like.
Business-like?
She's always wearing a suit.
I see, and that makes her less pretty somehow? Hanako gives an embarrassed shake of her head.
No, just different.
I'll admit this has got me intrigued. To hear Hanako talk about someone other than Lily is a first, and to be complimentary about it too. But as I try to picture this mystery sister, all I can think of is Lily in a suit. Basically. And I can't imagine that not being attractive, not at all. This isn't her route, Hisao. Lay off. Well, one day you'll have to introduce me to her.
Okay.
Our brief conversation ends as abruptly as it started, and we both return to our novels. The passage of time is marked only by the gradual movement of the patch of light cast through the window. Slowly, then, noises from the various rehearsals in the building fade out and die as students start to get hungry and tired. Just thinking about that makes my stomach start to turn knots around itself. I think it's time to head back. Do you think Lily will be back tonight now? I think I might head back to my dorm. I'm pretty tired from the week. And not a word of that is a lie. Moving to a new school as it ramps up for a major event has been taxing, to say the least. I can feel myself nodding off as I read my book.
Okay, I might stay here a little longer.
Looking at Hanako's book, I can see that she's only a few pages away from completing it. For a moment, I consider hanging around until she finishes, but once again my stomach turns, emitting a gurgling sound. Sure thing. Well, I'm gonna head off before it gets dark. I'll see you around, okay?
Okay. See ya, Hisao.
Later.
Hisao? Thank you for hanging out with me.
I can see how hard it was for her to get that simple sentence out of her mouth. It leaves me hanging for a moment. So, there is someone in this school who's even lonelier than me. Hisao, you can't say that. Maybe lonely is a wrong word. I haven't been lacking company for this first week, but I've still managed to feel somewhat alone and detached. Maybe lonely is a wrong word for Hanako too. She has Lily after all, doesn't she? I realize I've been standing there far too long without answering and pull off a flawless, not too exaggerated smile. You're welcome. Good night, Hanako.
Night.
I leave her to finish her book and head back to the dorms and the promise of food. Man, I really do wonder which route we're going down. Also, just slight warning, just want to remind you, Hisao does not have all the character development he had in the last episode. We are at the beginning of the game again. He's gonna have to grow again, alright? Alright? We all understand? Good, good. The next day, I wake up feeling a little lightheaded. It's almost noon already. Sleeping late is fine since it's a Sunday and there are no classes. Not just a Sunday, though, but the festival as well. From my window, I can already see some people at the soba booth slinging noodles onto plates for people with a craving for low-quality food. Oh! I throw back a handful of my morning meds and ponder how to spend the day. There will be a few exams in the coming week, but I don't consider those as ominous as others, so I'm not as worried about them as I probably should be. With no urgent obligations regarding education, I should be free to spend the day at the festival as I like. Finishing my morning routine, I exit into the hallway, intending to go out and find something to eat. Passing by his door, I decide to see what Kenji is up to today out of impulse. Why? I'm curious if he has any plans, since everyone's doing something. And then again, I can picture him having built a soundproof shelter in his room. Or possibly something like a fort, complete with no girls allowed sign. How does Asao know? And with the girls crossed out and body crudely scrawled underneath it. Knocking on his door, which is luckily devoid of any kind of sign, I hear again the unsettling clicking of at least 10 locks being pulled back. The door opens up a crack. Are we sure we haven't had this conversation before? Let me just check something. Oh, yep. Sorry, I've already read this. You're not getting me to read it again. Wow, okay, I've read a lot of this, apparently. Here we go. Lily doesn't look impressed at all, and I can't really blame her. On top of her issues with her stall, she still seems to be worried about Hanako. I can't really help her with the former, so I guess the only way I can help is by trying to take her mind off our shy mutual friend. Placing the bowl back on the counter, I call out to Lily. Hey, Lily, don't worry about Hanako. I'll go find her and hang out with her, okay? I can see Lily's relief plainly written across her face.
Thanks, Asao. And if you see anyone from my class, can you tell them to come back here, please?
Will do. Have a good one, and make sure you take a break, okay?
I will if I can. See you later, Asao.
See you later. Oh my god, I need to get the Lily voice back, too. I leave Lily in the stall and head out in search of Hanako. In a way, I feel bad for leaving her with the crowds, but even though she was clearly under pressure, I can't help but think that she's enjoying herself. The halls are packed with swaying crowds meandering throughout the festival. If there's one thing I know about Hanako, it's that she's not going to be anywhere near this. And with the students showing their friends and family their dorms, I doubt she'll be there either. Following blind intuition, I move against the grain of the crowd, just making sure I don't fit in. Thankfully, this crowd seems to be slightly less festive than your usual festival crowd. I assume this is out of consideration for the student body. As I force my way through the masses, it doesn't take long for them to thin down into nothingness. This is not surprising, since I'm standing before the library. Even the most eager of students don't bother to show anyone this section of the school. Rude. As I enter the library, the noise of the festival fades into a dull background noise, and soon I am in the reading area at the rear of the room. Behind one of the partition desks, I see a top of a head with straight, dark hair catching my eye. Hey, Hanako, I had a feeling I'd find you here. The head jumps a little in shock before slowly peeping over the partition.
Asao?
Hey, Lily's pretty busy, so she sent me to find you.
Do you want to sit down?
Actually, I'm feeling a little hungry. Would you like to get something to eat from one of the stands?
I brought some food, so...
I shouldn't be surprised, but it was worth a try. Expecting her to go outside today was a long shot. How about we eat in the tea room? I passed by on the way here and no one was around. We can make some food there and I'll be a little more comfortable. What do you say?
Sure, let's go.
Hanako closes her book and puts it away with deliberate, practiced movements. Good to go?
Yeah.
That was not Hanako's voice.
Yeah.
We walk side by side from the library to the tea room. As expected, there's barely a soul around. If it weren't for the murmurs through the walls, you wouldn't tell that there was a huge festival going on outside. Hanako carries her bag in both hands and focuses on just the floor ahead of her. Every now and again, she seems to break her pace a little and steps in slightly shorter paces. The first time it happened, I gave it no mind, but I soon noticed that she does it on a regular basis. Are you alright? She stops dead in her tracks.
What?
I don't know, it looked like you were tripping or something. A pink blush rises into her cheeks as her gaze returns to the floor.
It's nothing.
You know, when you say nothing like that, people are inspired to ask further questions. For a second, I don't think she's gonna answer. Prepared to leave it be, I almost set off walking again when...
It's a game.
Game?
Do you...
Oh, okay. Let me get a sip of Arizona iced tea. Not iced tea, fucking Arizona green tea with ginseng and honey. Hopefully this helps. Because now I'm gonna need to figure out a Hanukkah voice. Really figure one out.
Do you see the floor here?
What a bizarre question. The floor looks just like any other floor, covered in those tiles made from squares of linoleum. Nothing noteworthy. Well, yeah, what about her?
Sometimes, when there's no one around, I only step on the darker ones.
Hanukkah's voice trails off as her explanation continues until they can barely hear her voice over the roaring silence of the empty hall. Darker ones? Shuffling her feet, Hanukkah points the toe of her shoe at a tile that's barely a shade darker than the others.
Like these ones.
Oh, right, so these ones are no good? I point out a nearby tile.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, I see. Do you play this game a lot? Hanukkah shakes her head. Just when the halls are empty? She nods. Well then, no point in stopping. I'm beginning to get really hungry. She nods again, this time with a little more enthusiasm. Well then, let's go. We set off down the hall, and this time I noticed that Hanukkah was paying a little less attention to the floor. I wondered, just how lonely does someone have to be to come up with a game like that? That's mean, Sal. But before I realize what I'm doing, I find myself trying to aim each step so it lands on the correct tiles. The noise of the festival is slightly louder inside the tea room, but the breeze coming through the open window makes it worth it. Without thinking, I walk to the windowsill and inhale deeply. I sometimes forget how clean the air is here compared to back home.
Would you like some tea?
That'd be great, thanks. It occurs to me that this is the first time I've been alone with Hanukkah without her trying to be somewhere else. Turning from the window, I watch as she makes a simple pot of tea and arranges some sandwiches onto a plate. I've seen her do this before a number of times, but this time she seems slightly different. It's like she's calm. Eventually, she places a small tray on the table and pours 2 cups of tea. The fresh scent of brewed tea mingles with the breeze, and for a second I feel like I'm the only one in the world. I think I know why you like this room now.
I don't know what you mean.
Well, there are quite a few people out there, but in here it's like another world. You can pretend that there's no one around for miles.
You're right. It's like the world has forgotten this room. And because of that, you can forget about the outside.
That would be appealing in some cases. As far as I can tell, conventional bullying doesn't exist in this school. But then again, I haven't seen a single person talk to Hanako besides Lily. If you're ignored by the world, a place where you can forget its existence would hold a special appeal. It's a good point. It's like this room gives you some kind of complete freedom.
Yeah. Say, do you play chess?
Chess? I've played it a bit, I guess. I take it you've played before?
A little.
Without saying anything more, Hanukkah moves to one of the cupboards and digs out a small chess set.
Do you want...
Sure, why not? I cut her off, but she doesn't seem to mind it. We arrange the pieces, and before long we are sending pawns charging to their inevitable fates. Rest in peace to a real one. I take my time and intently examine each move and its consequences, nostalgia for the game taking second place to the matters at hand. For a time, the game is a lengthy battle of attrition, but I spot an opening and tear a line in her defense. A few moves later, her king is cornered by several of my pieces. Oh, checkmate. You're not bad at this, are you? An honest appraisal. Her technique is pretty good, but several times I was able to exploit her lack of prediction. I pick up a piece and examine it. It looks relatively new, yet worn for its age.
I guess not.
Does Lily play? The absence of Hanuko's answer causes me to think about my question.
A bit. This is the first time I played against someone other than her, or...
She cuts herself off abruptly, leaving the answer hanging in the air. Someone she knew before coming to Yamaku, maybe. Well then, I'm honored to have played against you.
Can we, play again?
She asked as if she was gonna ask me to cut off my own hands. The spirit of competition's gone into her. Sure, though don't expect me to go easy on you this time. Not that I was before, mind. She seems to appreciate the competitive tone. Oh god, we got another Shizune.
Same here.
As we're setting up the pieces, there's a noise at the door. Good afternoon.
Lily.
Oh, hey there, Lily. Are you finished?
You both are here. Wonderful. At any rate, our teacher managed to round up some extra help, so I was able to leave. Have you been here since you left?
Pretty much, we've just been playing a bit of chess.
Would you like a cup of tea? Actually, I think it may be a good idea to go outside for a little while.
The instant drop in Hanako's face shows her objection to this plan, even though she says nothing. I feel strangely compelled to voice what is plainly in view in her face, but Lily can't see. I kinda think that we should just stay here.
Really?
I feel like I'm making her voice a little too British, you know?
Really? It's so crowded here that I was thinking we should leave the school and head for the local tea house. You mean the Shanghai? Of course. With everyone at the festival, it should be practically empty.
Tea house?
Oh, that's right. You probably don't know of it. There's a tea house not far from here, which we go to every so often.
Sounds like a plan. Hanako, what do you think? Hanako jumps a little at being forced into the conversation, but at least she seems less distraught than before.
If it's a Shanghai, I think it'll be nice. Well then, it's settled. Let's be on our way.
Hanako and I rise from the table in our preempted chase game, yeah. Before I can do anything, Hanako has poured the pieces into a small container and placed the board away. Looks like we're ready now. Please, lead on. Hanako moves to Lily's side and we venture onto the school's corridors. The pair leads me through a series of unfamiliar doors and we emerge on the side of the building opposite of the festival grounds. It's insulated by the heavy stone of the building, the noise from the crowd has faded to a murmur. Strange. I thought that most people would be beginning to leave by now.
They're probably here to view the fireworks.
Fireworks?
Yes, apparently the school puts on quite a show. A lot of people have come from town just to watch them.
Lily's decision to leave the school grounds seems to make sense now. Hanako would probably have a hard time with the whole town descending onto the school, or ascending, as the case may be. For the second time since arriving at Yamaku, I find myself walking down this road with Lily. Only now that I can barely hear the incessant noise of the festival do I realize how loud it was. I can hear my ears ringing slightly in the still evening air as they recover from the day's assault on them. This one song in the game is super loud. I don't know if that's gonna do anything, but I hope so. Hanako clings to Lily, but still manages to guide her along the road. That, and avoiding the occasional gaze from curious pedestrians, appears to completely sap her constitution. She rarely raises her focus from the ground in front of her, nor does she utter a word. Lily, on the other hand, maintains her prim and proper persona, just as she does in school. It's obvious she purposely puts effort into her appearance, rather than hiding it as Hanako does. It's striking how different they are in their way of holding themselves inside of Yamaku's grounds. That said, it's obvious in both of their cases that they do visibly change. Inside Yamaku, everyone is special, which negates the specialness of it. But once we venture outside the school gates, we are returned to the status of outsider and generic labels. Especially when we're still in school uniform. It's like hanging a sign around your neck challenging people to figure out what's wrong with you. I'm surprised that so many of the students keep it on. Then again, with canes and wheelchairs common among the students, I guess it's not really that much of a giveaway. Or maybe I'm the only one that sees this as a stigma? Maybe you get used to it after a time, like any other school uniform. Just wondering, have I seen this before? No, okay. I just felt like some of the dialogue was a little familiar. The tea house seems fairly standard from the outside, just an ordinary building with typical signs decorating the entrance. It looks like the type of place you'd walk by without a thought, just another generic cafe in a sea of thousands. If Hanako hadn't steered Lily into the entrance, I would have continued on down the road without ever knowing it existed. Inside the tea house, it takes on a more traditional feel. Everything seems to have been made from the same lump of timber, from the counter and benches to the high-backed booths around the walls. But the most striking feature of the room is the lack of life. I think I can faintly hear something bubbling away in the background, but otherwise the room is silent. Without any direction, we simply wait near the entrance, politely obeying the "please wait to be seated" sign. Is this place closed or something? The sound of a chair falling over echoes throughout the empty room, and a head shoots up from inside a booth.
Hi, I wasn't asleep. Welcome to Shanghai.
Yuko, dressed in a pastel apron and clutching a menu, rushes to greet us. Her misaligned glasses and ruffled hair cast suspicion on her previous statement. But whether she was asleep or not isn't the first question that leaps to my mind. You work here now? What happens to the library?
What? Oh, okay. What? Lily? Hisao? Welcome to the Shanghai?
Her glasses just dropped, and Yuko, still waking up, jerked into a violent bow, dislodging her glasses in the process. Okay, do you want me to make that sound with my mouth? Do I have to read that sound? I think I've done it before, but do you want me to do it, really?
Where? My glasses. I can't see without my glasses.
As I pick up her spectacles off the floor, Lily offers an explanation.
Yuko works here part-time as well as the library. It's one of the reasons we like to come here.
Yuko takes her glasses from my hands, shakily putting them back on.
Yes, that's right. Thanks. Shall I show you to your table? There's no one else here, so you can choose your table and order whatever you like, but there may be a delay as I will have to make it myself. It's alright, Yuko. Just a pot of black tea and a plate of sandwiches will be fine. Right, I'll get right on to that.
Yuko hurries off to the back of the cafe, leaving us still standing at the entrance. She pushes the swinging half doors open before realizing that she hasn't seated us.
I'm sorry. Please, sit wherever you like. I'll be right back.
Following her advice, I lead Lily to the nearest booth as Hanako follows. As I begin to sit next to Lily, I realize how appropriate this place is for Hanako. The high-backed booths totally separate you from the rest of the room, and it doesn't look like it gets all that many customers. All the furnishings, from the cushions on the benches to the condiment holders, look dated but aren't overly worn. I wonder if Lily deliberately selects places like this to take Hanako. She seems like the type that would go to lengths to cater to Hanako's unique predicament.
So, Hisao, I didn't know you played chess.
Well, not very well, but I do know how to play.
I suppose the obvious question would be, who won?
Lily's innocent smile makes me hesitate. I don't really want to look like I'm lording my victory over Hanako.
Hisao did.
Yeah, but not by much. Damn, saying that out loud makes me feel like I've done something terrible.
Well done, Hisao. You've accomplished something I've only ever failed at.
Thanks. I haven't played in ages, so it felt good to play again.
Yeah, it did.
Hanako fidgets with her hair a little and looks away as she replies, but a small smile emerges. It's a little more extreme of a reaction than I expected, but still kind of cute in that Hanako way. It throws me a little off guard, and only Yuko's cataclysmic re-entry shocks me back into conversation. Are you alright there, Yuko? Do you need a hand?
I'm fine. I have to do this properly. It's my job.
Concentration plays across her face while she stares at the tray in her hands, as if simply looking at its contents will hold them in place. Sadly, this doesn't prove all that effective. The cups and saucers slowly dance around, occasionally clattering as they collide with one another. Taking great care, Yuko sets the tray down on the table with only the subtlest of crashes.
There, see?
Well done?
Thank you, Yuko.
Yuko's head rockets downward in a distinctive bow before answering.
You're very welcome. Would you like to join us? There's something else I'd like to discuss about that recent order, if I may.
That's right. Lily and Yuko were discussing a pile of books when I first met Hanako. Something about Lily helping with the braille?
Yeah. We didn't get a chance to go through them, did we?
Yuko hastily sits down next to Hanako. Apparently her dedication to this job only goes as far as her concentration. Once it's broken, she suddenly loses it.
I'll be in the library tomorrow afternoon if you'd like to try again. That sounds perfect. I'll meet you there after classes. Lily? Oh dear, that's right. Tomorrow's Monday. How could I have forgotten?
I'm starting to feel a little left out of the loop here. Then again, that's to be expected. I have been here for barely a week, so it's impossible to know everyone's schedule.
Well, perhaps we could come to some other arrangement. Yuko, you'll be in the library later this week. Maybe, but this is already overdue. And there are some things I need. This might be a problem.
Lily ponders for a second before discovering the answer.
I wonder, might we be able to enlist the help of another if need be?
To do what? You lost me quite some time ago. Being volunteered for something without even having the slightest idea what is going on isn't really my thing. And here I thought I had finally escaped the clutches of the student council and their repeated attempts to recruit me. They succeeded last time, they won't this time.
Oh, of course. The other day I was helping Yuko sort the new Braille books in the library. But Hanako and I usually go shopping on Monday afternoons. It's quieter on that day than on weekends. Last week we couldn't go because I was busy with the festival. I managed to slip away later in the week, but Hanako couldn't make it.
Well, since I can't read Braille, I'm assuming you'd like me to go shopping with Hanako?
Correct. You were a great help to me the other day.
I think I can handle that. Hanako, what do you think?
If you wouldn't mind.
Of course not. I'm still not familiar with all the stores in the area, so it sounds like a good idea.
Okay. Now that we have that arranged, shall we have some tea?
It's now that I realize our tea has been sitting idly by all this time, getting no hotter.
It's my fault. Let me pour that for you.
Yuko reaches out with shaking hands, but I intercept her. She looks in no state to be handling hot liquids. It's alright, I've got it. Since you already made the tea and sandwiches, you fulfilled your waitress duties, right?
I guess.
Yuko relaxes a little, but still watches eagerly as I share out the assortment. As I am about to bite into the sandwich, a low, loud rumble can be heard, along with a flash of light from outside.
I take it the show has started.
Only now, looking outside, I realize that dusk is come and gone, leaving us in the peak of twilight. Sparking tracers arc upwards, ready to explode in the floral shapes of fireworks.
Let's go watch. Sorry, Lily.
Okay.
Please don't miss the show on my account. From what I've heard, this isn't a bad location to watch them from.
With the exception of Lily, we rush to the window of the small tea house to watch the show. The strobe of colored lights plays across Hanako and Yuko's smiling faces, and for a second I forget to look out the window. In this totally new world, there are a few things that don't change. I think that's why the school makes such a fuss over this festival. It's a chance to show the similarities between everyone. The show is over all too quickly. Fireworks are expensive, even for the most well-funded schools. Before we return to our tea and sandwiches, Hanako turns to me.
Thanks for today. And tomorrow.
That's okay. I don't think that I could have faced those crowds either. On days like this, it's more relaxing to spend some time away from everyone, don't you think?
Yeah.
Anyway, we've been delaying this tea for far too long now. Let's get back.
Sure.
We return to the booth and our light meal.
That sounded impressive. Bigger than last year's, at least. Yeah, it was great. I've never seen them put on such a show. It gets better every year. I'm afraid, however, that during that time, the tea has gone cold. Oh no, let me make some more. This is my fault.
Calm down, Yuko. It's nobody's fault. I take a sip from my cup just to prove the point. This tea isn't too bad cool anyway. It's like an iced tea.
Really?
Yeah, really. If you add a bit of sugar, it's kind of nice.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Now, why don't you sit down and we'll finish this together?
Okay.
Yuko doesn't seem convinced, but sits down regardless. She carefully measures out about 5 teaspoons of sugar and adds them to her tea. I said a bit of sugar.
I know, but I like my tea sweet anyway.
Curiously, I peer into her cup. As expected, hardly any of the sugar dissolves into the cold liquid. She stirs it twice before upturning the cup and drinking the contents, sugar and all, in a single mouthful.
You're right. That's not bad at all.
Good. I look back to Lily and Hanako. Both of them have finished their meal as I witnessed Yuko's personality in action. Not wanting to hold anyone up, I use her tactic and finish the remainder of my tea in a single swill. Well then, it seems we're all finished.
Should we head back now, or do we want seconds?
Yuko's expression shows that this is quite clearly not a good idea. I think it'd be best if we got back soon. We do have to get back before curfew, after all.
Oh, that is a good point. I'll meet you tomorrow, Yuko. I'll be looking forward to it, Lily. Goodbye, everyone.
We make our way out of the small tea house and into the dark of the night. Lily and Hanako once again take point, but under the cover of darkness, Hanako seems slightly less stressed than she did on the trip here. We move against the occasional group of people emptying the school grounds, but Hanako seems to lead us along a few minor roads, avoiding the bulk of the crowd. Outside the dorms, the school seems strangely quiet when compared to the noise of the day. Well then, thank you both for today. I think I learned a lot.
You're most welcome, but I'm afraid that I really must be going. Today's been a long day.
That's right. Lily spent all of today on her feet, and I can imagine that walking outside of the school will be pretty tiring for her. I feel a pang of guilt as I remember that I was probably the only one in the school that got up around 10 this morning. Sure thing. Well, I'll see you both tomorrow. Good night.
Good night, Hasao. Night.
The girls returned to their dorm, and I to mine. Actually, now that I considered it, today tired me out as well. Act 2. Hide and Seek. Alright, I think that's the fastest we've ever got to anyone's route. We are doing the Hanako route, baby. That's the next route. But that's all the time I have for today's episode, getting to Hanako's route in the first place. That, I have to say this every time, but that animation was really good. I think that part, like, in the middle was done with, like, 3D models. Kind of weird, but it looked good. Yeah, okay, we're going into the Hanako route next. I was kind of planning on doing Hanako for the second route, like way back when, but then I realized, Hanako was present during a lot of Lily's route, and I was worried we might retread some of the same stuff, so I saved it for later, so I didn't know if we're going to do it last or fourth, but hey, I decided, why not now? So yeah, next time we'll be doing Hanako's route and learning more about her. And happy 1 year anniversary to this Let's Play, I guess. Here's to another year more. Hopefully the last 2/5 of the game should not last another year more, though I wouldn't complain if it did. It's a good game. I'll see you next time for more of Hanako. I'll see you then. Peace.